art form, sort of like orchestra, but it's not. Choral singing seems to be a really deep-seated need for humanity. One thing we know about humans is that every group of humans, every civilization, and every time period has chosen to sing together. And that means that choral music has the richest and longest-standing repertoire of any of the musical genres. And so just even devoting one concert a year to it, we can barely scratch the surface of the kind of music that's available that humanity has created for us to sing together. You're going to see three choirs on tonight's performance. The first choir that's coming on stage now is the University Choir. This was the first ensemble founded at Portland State University. It's existed every year. It's our top priority. University Choir is open to anyone regardless of audition. No matter who you are, this university will provide a place for you to sing, because it's a basic human need. They rehearse once a week and they do really extraordinary things. They're conducted by three of the grad students in the program, Alejandro Blek, Juan Castaneda, and Lenny Paco. So I will turn this over to them. Enjoy University Choir.
Good evening, everyone. We're super excited to be opening this concert. We're going to start, as you have seen in the program, with a piece called Jenga Imani Yako. It's a piece originally from Tanzania, and it's from the kwaya music tradition. The composer wrote this piece as a song of encouragement, particularly for all the people struggling with AIDS in Africa. But it's basically a piece written to encourage everyone who is struggling to keep going and never give up. I'm sure you're going to notice that the music repeats over and over again, as we should keep going forward. in the Lakota tradition, the religion can be characterized as a symbol as a system, of spirituality that is fully integrated into the rhythm of life. So there's no, like this idea of a space for religion and a space for living does not exist. It's pretty complemented one into another. And within that system, in its center, is Sunkashila, that can be translated as grandfather or great spirit. The piece that we're going to hear talks about the spirit and how through smoking our pipe and through the smoke of the pipe, we connect with our ancestors, we connect with this great spirit, and we ask them to help us carry on with the virtues of bravery, fortitude, wisdom, and generosity.
Hinemato are the first few lines of text from Psalm 33, and the loose translation is how good it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is often a very popular Shabbat hymn, and it actually was even recorded by Harry Belafonte in 1960. This is Hinemato.
The text of Apkahoyo is by a Somali poet who wrote the poem when he wrote the poem to celebrate a moment in 1972 when Somalia adopted the Latin script as its national alphabet. This was a momentous occasion for Somalia because before that time, their language had been broken up by different dialects and different writing systems, and suddenly they were all unified. And so this poem was a celebration of that. The composer, Timothy Tekech, is not from Somalia, he's an American. So this isn't traditional Somali music, but he captured some Somali flavor in his music. You can feel that in the rhythmic drive and the sort of celebratory quality of music. Afkahoyo. The next piece, Imiruli Mzgabruli. Oh, I practiced that so many. The next piece, Imiruli Mzgabruli, is a song from the Republic of Georgia. It's a folk song, and the Republic of Georgia has a long a cappella singing tradition that dates back from about the 4th century AD. And the people of Georgia have been subjected to a number of persecutions and occupations throughout the years, and somehow they've managed to preserve their very distinct singing tradition. Georgian music is distinct for its dark and dull tone, its unexpressive visuals, and its very powerful sound. This song is a folk song from central Georgia. It's a traveling song, and most of the lyrics are actually nonsense, but the middle lyrics are about picking flowers on the way to see your loved one. And the Georgian singing tradition is a oral tradition, so I'm very proud of this ensemble for learning this piece entirely by rote without seeing any sheet music at all. It's been a fun time.
Warrior,
The University Choir will close its set with a song called In Meeting We Are Blessed, which was written by Troy Robertson for the Nairobi Chamber Choir. And it's a pretty simple song, and it carries a message of peace and grace, and that just by meeting, we all bless each other because all of humanity can take something from each other.
We are met together, and in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. We are met together, we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. We are met.
We're going to change now from University Choir to Vox Femina, which is our audition soprano and alto choir. And I might have to ask you for some help as an audience here. We started these choirs 7 years ago, an auditioned men's chorus and an auditioned women's chorus. And we are very committed to this music for tenor-bass choir, which has a hundreds-year-old tradition, and music for soprano-alto choir. But even historically, not all sopranos and altos are women. In fact, many pieces that are written for treble choir were originally written for boys' chorus. Men have sung countertenor for years, and many choirs have female tenors, and now we have transgender students singing in our choirs. It's time for us to change the names of these choirs to move away from a gender basis. The problem is we haven't been able to think of any good names yet. So if you'd like free tickets to all concerts for next year, come up with a good name for all of these. Especially in Portland, we've unfortunately considered high choir and low choir, but that has all sorts of problems with that. So, but this contest is going on. The students have been working on this unsuccessfully for 2 quarters now, so we're widening the scope of our investigation. It's a good thing they sing well, because like we can't come up with names. So I feel like I'm sitting around in my garage late at night trying to name my band. So this is where we are. But Vox Femina is our audition soprano alto choir, and continuing in the same vein with music from a variety of different cultural traditions. We have with us tonight, you saw her playing a little bit already, a very special guest artist, Valerie Naranjo. And you may not have seen her live before, but you have probably seen her play before without knowing it. She has been the percussionist in the Saturday Night Live band for more than the past 2 decades. And she's a truly wonderful artist. She plays in the pit for the Broadway show The Lion King, for which she wrote all the percussion parts. She's written film scores. She has an extremely impressive resume, and we're so glad that she's here in Portland. She arrived just 2 days ago, so everything you're seeing her play with the choirs, all of this was put together just in the last couple of days. And you'll get to hear some more solo numbers from her after intermission. But now we have Vox Femina, and then a brief intermission, and Vox Femina is conducted by Alejandro Bled.
So for our opening piece with Vox, we have this piece called Kua. Kua was composed by Mariam Khoury, who was born in Arizona, but she is the daughter of Palestinian immigrants. And she talks about how her father was so happy about the new possibilities that were opening up for her now that she was out of Palestine and that she got the chance to grow up in America. So she composed this piece thinking about that, but I think that there's a deeper intention to it. We will definitely be able to hear her Arabic influence both in the harmony and the percussion, but I think that it's important also to notice the word kua means strength, and we need to pay a lot of attention to the metaphorical bird named kua that we will be singing about. a song from Estonia. Estonia is a country that has a long tradition of choral singing. I'm sorry, English is hard. So yeah, Estonia has a very long tradition of choral singing. This piece in particular is very, very simple, and in its simplicity, it describes some of the deepest aspects of human relationships. We will constantly hear the alto singing, you and me, you and me, you and me. So we're walking together through this, through the life of this couple that could be a romantic or platonic, it's not metaphorical, that was the previous piece. A romantic or platonic couple, it can be a parent and a child. But it talks about how we go together, and when we're together, the meadow smell and the moon shines. But also, there are things that don't go so well and that are difficult. But if we go through those experiences together, then those relationships get real, and life is even more beautiful, and we get to experience a joyful and peaceful life. So the following piece is from Africa, from West Africa. And it's actually a combination of two different songs. One of them is an 800-year-old lyric from Africa that is written, and it talks about the Jalis. The Jalis are composers, musicians, poets, like a combination of all of those. And it's, but Jalia is also the word for music, so you're gonna continue to hear that word being repeated. And so in that part, we're talking about how God created the Jalis and God created music, and through them we're celebrating both the music and the musicians themselves. And on top of it, it's combined with a song called The Pulse of Life by Catherine Devine. And that keeps repeating over and over and over, you are the heart, you are the beat, you're everything. So this piece celebrates how music is everything. last piece of our set is an arrangement of a pentatonic song from Taiwan. In Taiwan, there's a small town called Ilan. And the town of Ilan is a really small farming village. And because of the characteristics of the area, it's full of mountains and forests and trees, the only way to actually get to Ilan and from Ilan to Taipei, the capital of Taiwan, is by train. And this train, on its way, goes through all these tunnels that, because of the humidity and the condensation, the water condenses on the walls of the tunnel and falls on the train, creating this sound that onomatopoeically, they call it diu diu dang. So that's the name of our piece, and it's a combination of both. It's an idea of the train, we're going to hear the train, and we're going to hear the little droplets falling on the train, as we also hear the story of how that train gets to Taipei. intermission to get ourselves set up for the second half of the concert. Thank you.
So we are going to continue our performance with band choir, or tenor bass choir. And their set is a little more worked in with our guest artist, Valerie. I first saw Valerie play at a World Music Festival in Ohio over a decade ago. And I saw her singing her own arrangement of the Ute Sun Song, a Native American piece, with her accompanying herself on the marimba. And I asked if I could arrange the piece for chorus, and she generously said, yes, it's an amazing song. Band choir singing that, you're going to hear her doing some of her own Native American music. But Valerie is also an expert in West African music, especially in this instrument here, the Jil, the West African version of the marimba. And she brought this with her so she could play. And I think it's just a wonderful story in cultures, crossing cultures through music, because that's what it does. So without further ado, Valerie is going to play some music from Africa, and then Man Choir is going to sing some music from Africa.
Pleasure to be here. You know, in Buddhism, there's a situation where when someone speaks, there's an audience behind them to say, yeah, it's probably true. So this is what we have in this situation. It's been a pleasure to be here. And it's been a pleasure to have run into this instrument, quite almost by accident. The Jil, which is from the northern part of Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Cote d'Ivoire, really harkens to the beginnings of such styles as jazz, blues, R&B, and certain types of minimalism as well. And the song I would like to do for you, what you first do, there's so many things I can say about this instrument, so I'll try to keep my comments brief. But there is nothing that I will play that has not come from the spoken word that has been transformed into the sung word. So you could call this instrument a multiple collection of voices. When I had a mentor, and I talked to him about instrumental music, I was playing an instrumental piece. I was playing a piece on marimba, and he says, so what song did that come from? And I said, what do you mean? I said, you mean a sung song? And he said, yes. I said, no, this is instrumental. And he could not wrap his head around the idea of an instrument not being a spokesperson for the voice. So this is what this is. I'll begin by playing Pire. When you meet someone which you haven't seen for at least an hour or two, there are greetings exchanged. How are you? You know, we all know them. So when one approaches this instrument, one must greet the instrument. And what you'll hear is a kind of zzz sound. It's not broken. It's in perfectly good shape. The sound, that extra buzzing sound, is made by a spider's egg case that has been placed on the side of each calabash. So after we greet the instrument, I'm going to sing about the orphan. The orphan, he is so underprivileged that he has to beg for a kola nut. Then you'll see a little bit of instrumental. Then we'll talk about the woman merchant. And I'll sing a little bit in English, I hope, so you can get a little bit of what that means. But one of the things about merchant people, they work extremely, extremely hard. They don't have a home. Their home is on the road. They don't usually have time to have a family. And so the song then will talk about that really hard-working woman, Fortuna, we call her. And then we'll cover that. The whole piece, which is in the style called Dark Pole, basically music for the men in the village, again is from the geo, the instrument from the other Western Congo.
While I look for a music stand, there it is. Thank you. We're going to talk about the first piece that Van Choir is going to present for you today. The text of this piece comes from a chalkboard in South Africa where a professor of choral conducting actually was removed from his position. And clearly, because of some racial issues that were going on during apartheid, he was quite angry, and rightly so, about being removed from this position so suddenly. So in anger and frustration and sadness, he wrote this on the board and didn't come back to it until later, where he composed a melody that really captured that same essence. You'll hear this song, actually, we talked about this a lot, that it has sort of an upbeat sound to it, and I think that comes from, even though the song has become a symbol of protest and used throughout South Africa, it has taken on a little bit of a different quality now as time has gone on, to almost a plea to God, asking, like, why do horrible things happen? Why do we go through lots of pain and suffering? And what can we do about it? I'm overwhelmed. I am overflowing with these emotions. And you can feel that coming through the piece. So enjoy. Our next piece by Velio Tormis is called Tansut Lao, which is the dancing song. And the amazing thing, oh, sorry guys, oh, they're good. The amazing thing about this piece and about Tormis is he was a champion of folk music from Estonia. And the amazing thing about folk music, especially in Estonia for Tormis, was that he did not consider that music to be lesser than any other music from any culture. He's actually quoted as saying, the folk music of our culture does not belong in history textbooks or in museums. It belongs with all of the other music that's being out there in the world, and it's just as important. He believed that folk music was really a vision or like a sliver into real people of the culture. And this piece specifically is a humorous tale, and humor is another thing in which we sometimes diminish its value as not being as important as other things, or maybe because it's not as serious. But what's wonderful about this piece is it is about a dancer who believes himself to be very, very gifted in the art of movement. It is not clear whether they are gifted in the art of movement, but Tormis really makes this piece come alive with a collective collection of sounds, claps, movement, and encourages, hopefully, our singers or dancers to let their ego come through a little bit, whether or not they are gifted. And they are going to demonstrate this for us, which is going to give us a beautiful sliver into what it might have been like to view someone that this person saw that inspired this folk song. So enjoy.
So one of the singers in Manfire, Damon Flick, is a composition major and is graduating this year. And he wrote a piece for his composition recital for male chorus and guitar and asked the group if enough of them would be willing to get together outside of rehearsal to learn the piece. And a lot of us agreed it's really wonderful. He's Hawaiian and it has a lot of that influence in it. But it's not a folk piece, it is Damon's piece, one and all, and it went really well in his recital, so we decided we wanted to sing it again since we spent so much time rehearsing. So this is called Capoeira, and it's by Damon right over there, and features Adam Brooker on guitar.
So, just a little bit about what the piece is about. When I was a younger person, I was, for various reasons, very ruled by fear. I was very apprehensive and fearful of my future, where I was going. And the year after I graduated, the summer after I graduated high school, I ended up on a backpacking trip with one of my best friends. The first person I think I actually allowed to be my best friend. And there was a moment in the night where we saw the moon rise, the galaxy above us, and an owl flying across the ocean. And in that moment, who I was, where I came from, and where I was going, stopped being so important. And I realized that this world, that place, that life, the flow of the ocean, the current of the wind, the light of the moon, the life of the whale, cock whale, the owl, is eternity in every little moment. And when I remember that, I have no reason to hesitate. I have no reason to tremble. So please enjoy Capoeira and sharing that moment. I don't know what that is.
Our next piece, Huge Sundance, has become a very special piece for this group, not only because our guest artist, who is incredible and amazing, is part of this piece with Ethan. They arranged and composed it based on a traditional Huge Sundance melody. But what's amazing about this piece is that each New Year, as it approaches, this ritual is done usually by young men that are called to participate in the ceremony. And as they do that, the point is for them to take on misunderstandings, burdens, any grudges or betrayals that have happened to anyone within their community throughout the year. And through physical pain and through fasting, they endure a quite painful experience that as the ceremony progresses, and you'll hear the piece actually emulate this exact process, as that builds and builds, it ends up coming to a point where all of that is released. And what's amazing about this is that the people that do endure this ceremony are doing this for the entire community. Another element that I found in doing some reading about this was that another important piece is that even though these individuals do this and hold this on their own, it's said that it's really important that family members and other members of the tribe are around for support and for witness of what they're going through as a means of support, so that even though they're experiencing it on an individual level, they still know that they are not alone. So we hope you enjoy Huge Sundance. choir set is Pied Allemand, which actually Ethan Sperry was a part of as well in arranging. What is so interesting about our set as we started talking about all these pieces is there's a lot of pain and self-reflection involved in many of these pieces. And this is a piece from Haiti where the voodoo religion is practiced, and one of its most important things is its connection to spirits, and that they believe that they respond to drumming, singing, and dancing. In this piece, it's actually 2 songs that are put together, which is quite common actually in practice, and the composer of this piece that arranged it actually heard a concert or a performance of these pieces, hearing them together. The first piece is a darker, more meditative conjuring on one's existence and kind of connection to the earth, that's Pied. And the second one is a more upbeat, lively piece that's to Batala, and Batala is the spirit of wisdom. So in talking about this piece, we talked about that it's this idea of struggling to find kind of meaning and the pain and the anguish that comes from that, and you're going to hear this frustration and really aggressive anger that comes, and then that's followed by this more joyous, I think, hope for understanding and clarity and wisdom that can be had through pain. So please enjoy Pied Allemand.
All right, Vox Femina, come back up. We're going to start combining our choirs. We're going to take a short little breather, slow pace for a moment before we start building to our finale here. We had a problem at the beginning of this quarter. Alejandra and Allison came to me and said, Man Choir and Vox Femina are learning their music too fast. I was like, well, okay, one of the things we're kind of lacking in this concert is a piece that's in English. And actually from America. And we have folk music here too, and it's very beautiful. So we're going to sing an early arrangement of the Puritan hymn, What Wondrous Love Is This, arranged by Alice Parker and Robert Shaw. Don't be shy, you gotta come up on the stage, you can't sing the piece. And after that, we'll combine the rest of our choirs for the end of the show. And not to cause you any anxiety or anything, but as the show draws to a close, you might have to sing and dance too. So, just give you a few minutes to get warmed up, get nervous, whatever it is that you do under these circumstances. So last year, the Portland State Chamber Choir was invited to go to this international choral competition in Bali, in Indonesia. We were the first American choir to ever go to that competition, and we were asked to sing at the opening ceremonies along with some of the other choirs. And I proposed that we would sing some Indonesian music as a sort of a respectful gesture. And they said, no, 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 we invited you to sing American music. Please sing American music. And the organizer said, well, actually, would you do me a favor? Would you sing my favorite piece of American music? And I said, absolutely, what is it? And he said, The Circle of Life. And I didn't have the heart to break it to him that this was by Sir Elton John, who was British, and was meant to sound like it was from Africa, but I guess that's where American music is these days. It really represents the melting pot that we have here. So I called Valerie, because I knew she had written the percussion parts for The Lion King. I said, am I allowed to do this? How do I do this? Help. And she said, I can't help. This is Disney. They own it now. Write to Disney. And I did. And they said, okay. So I wrote a shorter version of it, and now since we have Valerie here, we're going to feature her on percussion in this arrangement. So this is the US premiere of my needlessly difficult arrangement of The Circle of Life for double choir, percussion, and marimba solo.
The day we arrived on this planet and blinking step into the sun, there's more to see that can never be seen, more to do that can never be done.
There is far too much to take in here, more to find than can ever be found. The sun rolling high in the sapphire sky, each raging small on the endless round.
Valerie does is really restore something that's been lost in this country, which is the ability to teach by ear and quickly, and the idea that you don't have to practice for months to do a concert. So this finale is all something we learned yesterday. 27 hours ago, the singing and the dancing. None of them had exposed to any of it before, and it's a big tradition of Ghana called Panlogo. So, I don't know, Valerie, do you want to say more about it, or should we just do it?
If you are let's say you work in a bank, and you have your bank party at the end of the year or in the beginning of spring, if you don't know how to dance Panlogo and sing, they're going to laugh you out of that party. It's the people's music. Panlogo, there are two versions of Panlogo. It is from the Grobo people, and they kept it kind of undercover until the independence of Ghana. And there's also a story that Panlogo was created for the independence of Ghana. We really don't know, but what we do know is it's the people's music. So, having said that you need to dance to be part of this, could you please stand up? Okay. Here's your first step. You're holding two cakes. We're going to show you. Don't drop them. These are your treasures that you have to be ready to give. All right, so you're going to start. It's unfortunately it's going to be our right and it's your right, but we're going to be opposite each other. So please don't panic. Put your right foot out. No, it's not the hokey pokey. And when you put your right foot in, you bring it in and put your left foot out. In, right, together, left, together, right, together. Okay, so the second thing now is, when you stand like this, you feel like you're at the office or something like that, so you have to crouch. It gives your middle some place to go. If you're standing like this, you can't go anywhere. So, do this a little. All right, now, when you move your foot, your hip is going to follow. It's going to look something like this. You go right together, left together, right. And then you smile at that pretty lady who's on the other side of you. Okay, now we've done that. Together we're going to put our right foot, hip, and cake. Ready, and right, left. Let your shoulders follow if you want. Okay, so you may assume a seat, but if you decide to change your mind, you're more than welcome. Here we go. your Lord and a cake to your cat. Roll those blues away. In this big land of love, I see the light. There is one lovely morning dawn, and in that lovely light, I feel alright. I don't know what the government will do. They make me cry You're beautiful. Thank you so much. One and all. Please, can you give them a wonderful round of applause?